commercial world know that being heard via advertisements is the name of the game. AmpSquare.tv understands how important advertisement is and is proud to express that it's truly the only plugged-in internet television production company on the market. Amp2.tv live streams all their shows across all the major selling markets in the U.S. and abroad. Call them at 866-224-5422. The AmpSquare.tv library allows productions to be seen over and over again, making commercial platforms more usable. Call 866-224-5422. Toll free 866-224-5422. Amp2.tv, the first and only internet television network that's truly plugged in. 866-224-5422. That's AMP2.TV. The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
You are listening to Connections, a place to learn about and celebrate creative approaches to healthcare, education, and wellness. Each week, we explore new ways that creativity can reach and connect individuals in all stages of health and wellness. Join us as our host, Bree Gordon, board-certified music therapist and managing partner with the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute, interviews professionals, volunteers, and community members from healthcare and educational backgrounds. If you are at home or near a computer, you can join us via live streaming video at facebook.com/connections by Aria. We hope you enjoy the program and find new ways to bring the joy of creativity into your life and the lives of those you love. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You are listening to and watching Connections. I'm your host, Bree Gordon, board-certified music therapist here locally in beautiful, finally warm and sunny again, South Florida with the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute. This is our first show back on Facebook Live of the new year. I'm so excited. We had a lot of holidays fall on Mondays, and then I got a chance to go see a game last Monday, so we had a rerun, but I've missed you all. So thank you so much for hanging around and sitting through a couple of my favorite shows that I got to play again for you. But we are back live tonight. I'm so excited. Whether you found us at 95.3 FM, 1470 AM on iHeartRadio, or on our Facebook Live channel, we're so glad you did. If you are sitting by a computer, not driving, not distracted, I would love for you to check out our Facebook page because not only do we have our live video stream happening there now, but all the past shows are archived there as well. And there's been some really incredible shows over the past few months. And I'm so thankful to say, really over the last few years, which has been really exciting. So we have our shows there, and I love to hear from you. Every week, I am so honored to get to sit at this table and to talk to different people and to interview them. But I really love learning from the audience as well. So please, if you ask any questions or have any comments, please leave them there on the Facebook page. And that address is facebook.com/connections by Aria. Or as always, you can call into the show, 888-565-1470. If you're checking us out for the first time, thank you so much. I just want to give you an idea of what you typically can expect this hour every week. It is my great honor to get to shine a spotlight on people doing creative, engaging, outside-of-the-box things in our community, whether that is through the creative arts, which is the field that I'm a part of, whether it's through music or art or dance, drama, any sort of creative way of reaching people in the medical field or educational field, or just really anyone out in the community that is engaging others, that is reaching others using any kind of creativity. And today, we're going to talk a little bit of a stretch on that because this really isn't just necessarily about medical or educational. It's really for everybody to get engaged with their local government. Now, if that's not for you, I don't want you to be scared because what I really love about talking about this is that there are ways that everyone can get involved in advocacy. So that's what I hope you take away from our conversation today. If, again, the word politics or advocacy or anything along that is just not for you, I really do encourage you to stick around because I get it. I never thought this would be something I'd be interested in either. I didn't really understand how one person, particularly one person who's kind of young and not really, knows a little bit about a few things, but certainly I don't know enough to, write to a politician about it or visit, goodness, definitely not visit with a politician and talk to him, express my opinion until I did. And then I survived and it was okay. And I realized what an impact that is, and that actually these are individuals who are really employed by us, by the constituents, by the citizens. And it's because we take the time to write, to call, to visit, to tweet, whatever it is your comfort level, that's how things happen. That's how things get done. And so if you think about the nation and some of the stuff, and certainly now is you can't turn on the news or go on your Facebook without something that has to do with advocacy or a request for advocacy coming up. If that seems too big, too broad at this time, what we're really going to kind of hone in today is the idea of getting involved in local politics and local government, and how that can make an impact that you see directly. You see the benefit happening in your community. You see whether it's healthcare that you are passionate about, or it's animal rights, or it's the environment. How something simple can really result in this incredible change that you will actually observe in your community. So I am not going to keep rattling on about this because I am not the subject matter expert. I am merely an enthusiast in this area. But my guest, you know what, like family member, just regular, I don't know what to call you at this point.
I like
just
regular.
Regular.
Yeah, friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
Yes.
I love it. Friend of the show, Jennifer Bracet is here in the studio with me today, Public Policy Manager for the Southeast Region chapter of the Alzheimer's Association.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Third, fourth time? You've been here quite a bit.
Oof, I feel like it's like fifth.
Ooh,
'Cause
really?
I feel like I've done a couple phone interviews too.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you totally have. No, and I always appreciate it. You shouldn't have told me that you live so close to the studio, because now I call you all the time to come in. But I love having you here. I love the conversation. I love that we share so much of the same ideas when it comes to being a millennial, being of the generation we're in, and being involved in things that looking around the room and realizing we're often the youngest person in the room. And not only being comfortable with that, but being able to appreciate that and the value that can bring by connecting with people across the generations. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this, especially as we're looking at Florida sessions kicking off, some things that are going on nationally. But I know that it starts for you as a very personal place with the Alzheimer's Association. So
Yes, it does.
for anyone who's not gotten the chance to hear you speak before, if you wouldn't mind just starting there about how you kind of came into this job and why that's so important to you.
Sure. So thank you again for having me on.
Absolutely.
And so I am the Public Policy Manager for the Southeast Florida chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. I've been with the association just under 3 years now. I know.
Still never understand
I know it's going to be 3 years in just a couple months. And my background's always been working in politics, whether it's working on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., or working on political campaigns. It's always been in my blood. But, I've been affected by Alzheimer's disease. I've had several members of my family who have since passed away from the disease. And it's just something that, honestly, before I started with the association, I didn't understand. Mm-hmm. I thought it was just a disease that affects memory. Unfortunately, that's the reality that many people know, and that's what they think, and that's why education and awareness and advocacy is so important. But, it was something that I never understood. I felt like I never was able to care for some of my loved ones or really understand what they were going through in a proper way. So this felt like a way for me to give back. Mm-hmm. It felt like a great position, and it's been the absolute dream position that I could have. Being able to work with such extraordinary advocates. One of the key things that I do in my position is really empower them to speak and tell their stories. And, we just got back from Tallahassee last week, and I'll definitely talk more about that. But, it's coming off of that trip. I have such joy. And, it takes hours and it's a full team of people working to make this trip what it is in every minute detail. But when I can sit back and I can see that, first of all, we got such a positive reception from our legislators, which I have to tell you, 3-4 years ago, we did not get that. Some of them are like, I'm wearing purple for you. Like, I am showing my support, helping raise that level of awareness, listening to the stories, holding on to the advocates in their hands, wanting to hear more, saying, I met with you last year and you made an impact on me. Your story made a difference. To hear that from a legislator, it just gives you chills. And then to see these people who've gone through the struggle, who's like, I'm a caregiver for my mother, and, I never thought that I could give back in this way. And this has just inspired me and educated me. And, you're hooked, it's an addiction, because it's something that you just want to keep doing more and more because it feels that passion and just keeps you going.
I agree with that. It is you get instant gratification from it, which is ironic because when you think about politics, you think not instant gratification.
Right.
It's a seed you sow. But in that moment, when you are able to make that FaceTime with a politician, with an aide, or get that retweet or whatever that is, it is a feeling of, wow, I'm heard, I'm seen, and perhaps my personal story can make a difference. That's huge, what you just shared, for someone sitting down and saying, I remember you.
I know.
I remember you talking about that.
That is huge because you and I both know, working with elected officials, they're all about shaking hands, kissing babies. You see them 3 months later and you're like, hey, oh my gosh, it's so nice to meet you. And they're like, who are you?
Yeah, right, yeah.
And you get used to it. I'm just like, yeah, I'm just that girl in the corner, But,
We've met 10 times. It's fine.
When they can identify you, and especially a volunteer, an advocate who they haven't seen in over a year, that is huge. And,
That's awesome.
And you're right about it's that instant gratification, but it's short term, but it's long term too. Because you wait until, in 50 something days when the session's over, and hopefully our funding requests and all the legislation that we're fighting for, that's going to be passed and that's going to be enacted. So you do see that long term, and especially on a federal level where we do a lot of work with raising research funding, and a lot of those bills, they take a long time. So those take a lot, but when that reward comes in, it is so immensely gratifying.
I remember the last time that I went up, and I think I shared this when we talked before, but had sat in on my first hearings that were totally unrelated to the music therapy bill and Alzheimer's and senior bills. It was just, I just wanted to see the process. And it was particularly a tense, hearing. And I remember going up to our local Senator Rader afterwards and just, again, totally assuming you have no clue who I am, and just saying, hey, I just wanted to thank you for stopping by one of our local Alzheimer's community care centers and for observing a music therapy session. And he just stopped. And he's like, that was so powerful. I remember exactly what you're talking about. And I'm thinking, okay, well, that was polite. And he's like, no, I really do. Thank you for the work you do. And I'm telling you, I was like, wow, of all the different things, of all the people that have come up, I don't know if it was somebody in that group reminded him of a loved one or something of the music sparked something, but I thought that was a genuine connection. And I think sometimes I could have had a million politicians go through that and have that experience, but it will just take one special something to make that connection.
Right.
And
so,
I mean,
and I mean, every legislator, of course, is different.
Right.
Some really, have that connection with someone. There's that emotional appeal. There's some where you're like, oh, did you know that there are 5 million, Americans living with Alzheimer's? And I'm like, what? It's some of that economic, it's that logical. Yep. Everybody's different. But, I love that you just mentioned Senator Rader. Shout out to him. I hope he's watching and listening.
We'll tag him later.
But, there's a representative in Orlando. His name is Scott Plakin, and his wife has early onset Alzheimer's, and she was diagnosed, I believe, in her early 50s, and she is, progressing very rapidly, and she has a lot of seizures, and she's had a lot of medical conditions, because of her Alzheimer's. And the representative actually mentioned during our advocacy days, we did a lighting at the Capitol, and he actually mentioned that Senator Rader came to him and thanked him because he is providing him so much insight and helping him in the Health and Human Services Appropriations Subcommittee, which is huge. And the idea that I just dropped something on the ground. No, but the idea that he made that connection and is listening to his story and is really taking in everything that we're bringing and making a difference and using that is just so powerful.
I think it's so important to, this time always flies. I'll make one more point and then we'll go to our commercial break. But I think it's so important to share the stories like we're both sharing with the experiences we had, because again, if you've never gone through this experience before, I think it is so easy to believe. And the number one thing I hear or people kind of share is no one's going to listen. Who would listen to me? Why am I going to make a difference? And these are very concrete examples of someone that is saying, hey, I hear you. It matters to me. Yes, there's a million things going on. And I think, unfortunately, there gets to be kind of this generic blanket view of, nothing's getting done.
Right.
But here are some things that
are getting done,
which is so exciting. And I'm going to talk more about that and your rally to Tally last week and what your goals were for that after this quick commercial break. Stick around. The Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is a professional music therapy practice serving medical, community, and educational settings throughout Southeast Florida. With our experienced team of 11 board-certified music therapists, we use music and research-based therapeutic interventions to help individuals of all ages and abilities reach their goals and increase their quality of life. For more information on our services and programs, please visit our website at pbmti.com, engage with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call us at 561-747-9944. Are you a music therapist or part of the music therapy community? If so, we're excited to announce Aria. Aria is a mobile app that provides tools, resources, and community for today's modern music therapist. You can plan, implement, and share music therapy interventions with the community, keep track of your schedule and contacts, and learn from other members in our community section. Best of all, Aria is free. Visit arianow.com to get started today. You are listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. If you'd like to join the conversation, the toll-free number is 888-565-1470. Now back to the show. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. You are listening to and watching Connections. I'm your host, Bree Gordon, here with friend of the show, Jennifer Braisted, Public Policy Manager with the Alzheimer's Association. Thank you again so much for being here, Jen.
Thank you.
I just did this politician thing. Do you see? Okay, radio's not going to know what I'm talking about, but this is totally, is it because we're talking about advocacy? Don't they talk with their hands a lot?
They do.
I feel like this was kind of...
I feel like that's an older, like a sophisticated statesman of the days. Like maybe like a FDR or like a Teddy Roosevelt.
I don't know.
I don't think nowadays
I've never done that, but I'm like, I just sent it over to you with this
imaginary
fishing rod. I don't know.
Dainty wrist.
Wow, I'm so inspired by this conversation.
It is inspiring.
The mannerisms have taken over my body.
They have.
All right, so we always end up here.
I know.
Every time you come on.
Really trying not to get there too.
I know. We can't.
I've been
avoid
really
it.
good.
You have been. I've been really proud of you.
Thank you.
Back to business.
Please.
So, in your regular daily life,
yes,
when you're not master and commander and all the other titles you've said on this show previously, you are leading the way for public policy for advocacy for Alzheimer's for the state of Florida, which is no small task.
No.
And I'm totally going to throw you under the bus in this moment, but I know you're ready for it. Just shoot some figures at us, because I know you've been toting them all week. How broad is the impact of this disease on our state?
Okay, well, Florida is ground zero for Alzheimer's disease, and especially South Florida. There are over 500,000 Floridians that are living with Alzheimer's disease in the state of Florida alone.
Wow.
There are over 1 million caregivers that are providing unpaid care, and that leads to about over 1 billion hours of care in the year last year, which was 2617. What is going on?
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a huge impact. Florida, we have the second highest incidence rate of Alzheimer's disease, just after the state of California. So this is, and with our baby boomers turning 60 every day, I mean, the figure it's insane. And, this is a disease where when you are over the age of 85, 1 in 2 individuals who are over 85 will have Alzheimer's disease.
And where do these numbers compare to where we were at last year this time?
So when it comes to individuals in the state of Florida, last year it was about 500,000. This year it's 522,000.
Okay.
So it's going up about 20,000 in the past couple of years has been the increase.
Is that pretty? I mean, and the reason I'm just asking this specific to Florida is because obviously we're aware that we're kind of a destination for people to retire to and to spend their older years with. So is this rate, is it seen as growing faster in our area than as opposed to other states?
It's definitely increasing, like you said, with the number of retirees and baby boomers and individuals who really see Florida as their retirement spot.
Yeah.
One of the things to really emphasize when we're talking about these numbers is, we say there's 522,000 individuals living with Alzheimer's in the state of Florida, but only 45% of those living with Alzheimer's actually have a diagnosis of the disease. So if we're talking about 522 with a diagnosis, we're looking at probably over 1 million individuals who are actually living and showing signs of Alzheimer's disease.
And so that makes, obviously, events like you organized last week that much more important. So what was the goal for your group that went to Tallahassee, our state capital, last week?
So the goal was to, have our advocates share their stories, tell their truths, talk about their experience with Alzheimer's disease. And that experience, it ranged. There were some individuals who weren't caregivers, but had lost a loved one to Alzheimer's. Some were in the healthcare industry. Some are current caregivers, former caregivers. And we also had individuals who are actually living with Alzheimer's disease and can really provide that perspective. Our legislative goals were to increase funding for home and community-based services. In essence, that's to support caregivers. As I mentioned, there are over 1 million Alzheimer's caregivers in the state of Florida, providing over 1 billion hours of unpaid care. Those numbers, it's hard to correlate them, too many zeros. But, this is a reality for people. And this isn't just individuals who are retired. These are, individuals who are in their 30s and 40s who are working full time and raising families, and they have to deal with the strain of taking care of their loved one with Alzheimer's, which we all know is a very stressful and always constant task.
Right.
And then also raising children. So, that funding that we were fighting for is Alzheimer's Disease Initiative funding, and that actually provides funding so that people can, have their loved ones who have Alzheimer's or dementia or another form of cognitive impairment actually go to adult daycare where they can get music therapy and activities and,
Thanks
socialization.
for plugging that in there.
Absolutely. And also for home health, where they can get someone who can come into the home if they aren't able to go to a daycare. And that loved one, caregiver can, I always emphasize this, go to the doctor and make sure that their medical needs are being taken care of. Because so many times, the stress of caregiving, that increases high blood pressure, cholesterol, it can raise all these levels and all these things that can, there's muscle pain. And I mean, there's so many things that, caregivers can face. Mm-hmm. And so having someone come in the home, alleviate them, be able to have them run errands, go grocery shopping, things that they just can't do while they're caring for their loved one.
That was the most staggering statistic. I remember last year when I went with you on that trip, and then we had the opportunity to sit down with Congresswoman Frankel and going for Senior Day, which I'll be leaving for tomorrow. The one thing I really remember from all three of those was that percentage of caregivers that die before the loved one that they're taking care of.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that just speaks volume. And I would watch people's faces as they would receive that information, because I almost think unless you're not, and it's like anything, it's to no one's fault, but unless you're not personally experiencing it, you just don't know, right? So you think, well, that person must know how to do that. You know, I wouldn't know how to do it, but that person, they're a great caregiver, and they know how to do it. And I think when they hear that, like, these caregivers are just humans, I mean, they're amazing, and
Of
in
course.
many ways they're superhumans, but they're humans like the rest of us.
Yeah.
And they have health issues like the rest of us, and they burn out like the rest of us, and to the point where they're actually aging and declining faster than those that they're caring for. I think that really made people stop and give pause, and really just, it humanized the situation of, this is affecting twice as many people, exponential as many people, when you think of all the family members that are involved in caring for a person with Alzheimer's. And so much of this show, we try to focus on the creative approaches to any problem solving, right? And when I looked at your pictures from last week, what stuck out to me as the most creative thing about the advocacy work that you all do is the multi-generational approach. That every room, every picture with every legislator, there was someone, you know, from our generation, from our parents' generation, even from our grandparents' generation, standing in a room with a legislator, sharing their personal story. What was the impact of that like?
You know, just from what I experienced being in the room with many of these meetings, and the feedback is, it really opens the eyes for legislators. You know, we've talked about this all the time, and, you know, probably on the show as well, especially when we talk about the impact on millennials and things. But a lot of times with Alzheimer's, there is that stigma that this disease only affects older adults. So when you have someone who's in their 20s and they're like, yes, you know, I'm involved in healthcare, or I'm getting involved in social work. And, you know, my grandfather died of Alzheimer's, and I saw that effect, and I saw the strain on my mother, and I saw the strain on my grandmother. You know, that opens the eyes. You know, unfortunately, I've actually had individuals who are my age and younger who have had their parents who have had Alzheimer's, and many of them, their parents have passed since then, and they tell that story, and the legislator, their jaws will drop, especially a lot of, you know, the men who are in their 50s, and they'll be like, that's my age, you know, and it really, it wakes them up. And, you know, it's like, yeah, that's why this is so important, because this is not just affecting, you know, someone who's 90 years old. This is not a normal part of aging.
Right.
And even if it is 90, you know, we need to respect that, you know, and, like I said, Alzheimer's is not a normal part of aging, but it really does open people's eyes. And, you know, some of that is, you know, I try when making the groups to, you know, keep them in their area so they're meeting, the legislators are meeting their constituents, but also you want that variety. And I think it's so great when you have, you know, someone who is in school or just out of school and, you know, they have a story, and then you have someone who's a caregiver or a former caregiver. And just to have that fusion is, you know, like we always say, we love that intergenerational workings together. And I mean, you've experienced this firsthand, you know, on the trip. Everyone is, you know, good friends. You know, it doesn't matter. There isn't little groups of people who are in different age ranges. Everyone comes together. Everyone collaborates, and they feel like all their stories together really make an impact.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a whole nother show. We've done shows on that, and the beauty of volunteerism or working for nonprofits, and just how a common passion, even something like fighting to end a disease. I mean, again, it may not always sound sexy,
right?
You know,
right.
But if you're truly passionate about it, it's amazing that you get fulfilled by doing the good work, and then you make these great connections along the way. You know, it's just, and not in any way to invalidate the importance of supporting someone who is in their 90s with this diagnosis as well. I don't ever mean to take away from it as being part of the later stage of life aging process, but not only people our age who have parents experiencing it, but you've actually met someone in their 30s who had the diagnosis, correct?
Yes. I actually met this gentleman last year in Washington, D.C. for our annual advocacy forum on Capitol Hill. And, you know, he had this cute little dog. And I rather talk to dogs than humans. And so I had to talk to the dog. And, you know, I found out it was a service dog. And he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. And he was 31 years old. And your jaw just drops and your heart just breaks, And, I read a story the other day about a father of, I believe it was twins, who is like 34 and diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and he's got that genetic link and he's worried about his kids. I mean, you hear about these stories and they're so heartbreaking. And even though they're statistically not as common, the fact of the matter is that, Alzheimer's is a growing epidemic, and, we have to fund research. We have to make sure we find a cure because, memories matter. Yeah. And it's not just about the memories. It's about, protecting and, saving this loved one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know a lot of what you do is advocate for programs as well. And you talked about the respite and caregiver programs, but and obviously I've gotten to see firsthand the benefit of music and rhythm and art and just enhancing quality of life for these individuals. But you talk about the dog, and I really wonder, did he share with you what, I know it's a service dog, but what the benefit or what that dog was trained to do for him?
So I'm really sad because he didn't.
Because I would love, I think that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, and I do too. And I cannot speak for this gentleman who I don't even know, but right. I have a friend who, they can detect seizures. I mean, there's such a full range of what these dogs, can do. And it's incredible.
Even just being a source of comfort.
Well, I think that could be it too, especially maybe there's some anxiety or, depression there. And of course, again, I don't know.
Sure. But just speaking from the individuals we've met, that would make total sense.
Yes.
We have to remember that this is a disease that at any moment can make you feel, I don't know where I'm at.
Right.
And how scared. And my goodness, of course that'd be anxiety producing.
Of course. And there's a social withdrawal as well. Mm-hmm. You're not the same. How can you hang out with your friends? They don't know what you're going through. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know in personal situations in my life and times that have been, not the best. I've had a family member ill or something's been going on. When people can't relate to you, it's very hard to socialize and be with it. And I can't even imagine with something like a diagnosis of that. And that's one thing. With the Alzheimer's Association, we do early stage engagement and socialization where individuals can come together and they make lifelong friends, not just the caregivers, but the individuals who are living with the disease. And it's really nice because they have that acceptance.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately, we have raised the level of awareness, but we're still not there yet. And Alzheimer's still has a stigma to it. And the idea that they can come together and socialize in just a very peaceful and no judgment zone is just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, not to speak for this gentleman, but I can imagine, or at least I would feel this way, I think, if I saw someone my age and I felt that way, how comforting that would be to know that people care, that people that don't have the disease or maybe don't even have a direct connection to it care enough to fight for that, right? All right, we're going to take another quick commercial break. We get back and talk about Senior Day happening this week. I'll be heading up to that tomorrow. And then just kind of in broader terms, like tips for anyone who might be listening tonight and interested in getting involved in advocacy in any world. Doesn't have to be in our world. We'd love to have you.
I'm really excited to talk about this.
Yes. Oh, it's your favorite topic.
It's my favorite.
I know. That's why you're here. Stick around. We'll be right back. Are you a music therapist or part of the music therapy community? If so, we're excited to announce Aria. Aria is a mobile app that provides tools, resources, and community for today's modern music therapist. You can plan, implement, and share music therapy interventions with the community, keep track of your schedule and contacts, and learn from other members in our community section. Best of all, Aria is free. Visit arianow.com to get started today. The Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is a professional music therapy practice serving medical, community, and educational settings throughout Southeast Florida. With our experienced team of 11 board-certified music therapists, we use music and research-based therapeutic interventions to help individuals of all ages and abilities reach their goals and increase their quality of life. For more information on our services and programs, please visit our website at pbmti.com. Engage with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call us at 561-747-9944. You are listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. If you'd like to join the conversation, the toll-free number is 888-565-5365. 1470. Now back to the show. Much for joining us tonight. You are listening to and watching Connections. I'm your host, Bree Gordon, here with my co-host extraordinaire, Jennifer Braisted, Public Policy Manager with the Alzheimer's Association. Thank you again so much for being here,
Of course,
Jen.
thank you.
So if you have missed any portion of our conversation tonight, and this is a topic that you are interested in, we're talking about advocacy on all levels, like an advocacy for dummies, kind of. Right?
But you're not dumb.
Right, I don't mean to
You're
insult
smart.
anyone with that. Yeah.
We value you.
I'm so sorry.
I value you.
All right. Advocacy 101? Is that nicer?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All that to say, if this is not your thing, listen, it was not my thing. It was totally the whole idea of I have this, thought, idea, passion, and who's gonna listen, who cares? Well, turns out people actually get paid to care and listen, and it's their job.
Yeah.
So, it can be as simple as social media advocacy,
Yes.
the power of a hashtag. We'll talk about all this later. And going all the way up through making a trip either to your state legislator's office or to D.C., which, Jen, you've done all of the above, and have been received with open arms. No
Yes.
one put the moat out, pulled up the drawbridge,
Never.
turned you away.
Never.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're going to talk about that. If that is something you are interested in, we really, really encourage you. In fact, check us out on our Facebook page, facebook.com/connections by Aria, and let us know what you are passionate about. Because if this
Please.
is something that you are kind of interested in, and yeah, we're talking about healthcare and elder rights and Alzheimer's and different things like that today, just because that's kind of our little world. But this applies, what we're saying applies to environmental concerns,
Absolutely.
animal rights, I don't know, anything,
Honestly,
education,
anything.
anything that you're
yeah.
passionate about. Let us know because Jen can help you, point you in the right direction, and I'll
Sure.
help any way that I can as
Yeah.
well. But as many people as we can encourage
I
to
would
get
love-
involved in this, the better.
It's like you just said, though. It's not about being politically astute. It's not about reading the paper every day and listening to CNN. I think they've done polling and things. People who are into political systems and politics in general, they usually have something wrong psychologically in their brain. That was on The West Wing, so if anyone wants to fight me on that, sue Aaron Sorkin. But I totally believe that's true.
Read that disclaimer again.
Yeah, read it.
The things that are said on the show are not owned by the people of the. Yeah, that would be
Okay.
great. wouldn't it?
But
That's
my
legal
point
disclaimer.
is, you don't have to be politically. You're like, oh man, it's
get
been
sued.
so good. You're not going to. But there's people who have that passion for the legislative process and their
Yeah.
wheels go all the time.
Yep.
But people have passion for issues, I mean, how many people do we know have been passionate about their children's education and
Yep.
they step up and they become a school board member
Yes.
or head of the PTA?
Gosh.
This is that. That is this in essence.
And that is exactly how anything gets done.
Exactly.
A parent, a champion, a caregiver. I mean, that's where it starts.
Use your passion.
You don't have a paycheck or a badge or a title to say, if you just care, it often comes from a place of just pure heart. And those are the
Absolutely.
most powerful people.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times I think about all the bills that are named for someone, right?
Right.
And it's because somebody, again, whether it's a parent or a
Stepped
spouse, a
up.
loved one, just went all the way to the top to fight for what they believed in.
And there's a senator in New York, Kristen Gillibrand, and she actually wrote a book, and the title of the book is oh my gosh, it's basically getting off the sidelines.
Okay.
And I just thought that was the greatest phrase,
Yeah.
because it's you're not going to get anything done if you're just sitting at the side. You got to step up, and maybe it's simply sending out a tweet. And I say simply, but that has so much power in it. And we know the power of a hashtag.
Yeah.
And there's so much going on right now. And I feel like there's an issue that anybody can get involved with, with animal rights and, human rights and international issues and things going on domestically and, healthcare. There's so much that people, and there's never been a better time to speak up.
Yep, I totally agree. I'm excited, and you're getting me even more pumped about heading up to Tallahassee tomorrow for Senior Day, which is actually over a couple days.
Is it going to be cold?
I didn't look, but it's probably going to be freezing.
It was 20 degrees last week, and it was raining, and the rain stuck to my hair, And that's why,
Oh. And you're like a Florida girl, right?
I'm a Florida girl. I was born in Boca Raton. I was actually born.
You're like a unicorn.
Disclaimer: West Boca. The Boca Hospital didn't exist.
Oh.
That's how old I am.
I remember when I first moved here and there were talks of, this was legitimate too, of starting the Real Housewives of West Boca. That was, because that was totally different than, I don't know anything about that, but
How long have you been here?
10 years.
Really?
Yeah. But,
Has the Real Housewives franchise been around that long?
yeah.
Really?
Yes. Okay, we can I will go toe to toe with you on the Real Housewives after that.
I know you will.
Absolutely. Yeah, love it. Anyways, reeling it back in. What were we talking about? Oh,
Advocacy Day in
Advocacy,
Tallahassee.
right. So there's like it's really cool reception, and then really cool. We're the only people who think this stuff is really cool, but that's totally fine. Reception, a town hall where they have individuals who are working and living and real life examples with real life stories in senior rights. You can ask questions, and then you get a chance to go talk to the legislators. And this is just an example, I'm saying, of one kind of like lobby or Hill Day, right? There is a Hill Day for everything.
Absolutely.
I mean,
You name it.
there's a music therapy Hill Day.
There is.
Yeah, there's a Hill Day for everything. If there is an issue that enough people feel passionate about, they are organized. And so why have a Hill Day? What is the power in that?
Well, one thing is, it's power, strength in numbers. You have hundreds of people or, a significant group who is going to the Capitol. Usually, for us with Alzheimer's, we wear purple and we have the purple sashes. And, everywhere you go, you see people that are just, covered in purple all day. And it really gets you thinking. And, it's that consistent message that our legislators are all hearing. So, people from Tampa are hearing the same thing as the individuals in Miami and in Jacksonville, and it's across the state. So then when they go into their committee meetings and their caucuses, they know that they're like, hey, this is the issue I heard from. The staffers know. They're like, yes, Alzheimer's is here today. This is the issue they're talking about. One of the legislative aides we met with, they're like, you know what? I was just talking to the senator before he went into committee on ADI funding. So it
Alzheimer's
makes sure.
Disease Initiative.
Yes.
Yep, gotcha.
Thank you.
Yep.
I get into the acronyms,
Yeah.
But it's that power numbers. Then social media, it's going off, and then the Florida House and the Senate, they have to start retweeting and everything. And there's a real power in that that we've never really had before with social media. And it really, it's a great way to engage everybody. It gets them excited. It gets staffers excited. It just the whole area then is talking about that cause and that interest.
For anyone who's not familiar necessarily with the process, can you just explain when we talk about legislative aides or staffers, things like that, like what that relationship is like and why that's so important to talk to them as well?
Absolutely. So that's one thing that I preach to all of our advocates is, sometimes you will have a meeting scheduled with a representative or a senator, and they have to be rushed to a committee. There's an issue with a bill. They have to meet with somebody, and you have to meet with the legislative aide. And a lot of times people think, and it's like, no, the legislative aide is key. They are the gatekeeper for the offices, especially when we're talking about the state legislature. It's only a 60-day session, but the legislative aides, they're actually full-time, where the elected officials, they only work part-time. So they know everything. They can talk about any issue. They know all the statutes. They're just so well versed, and they're the ones who actually will spend time with you, walk through that issue, hear your stories. They usually will give you more time. And at the end of the day, when the issue comes up, they're the one who it's going to be on their radar, and they're the one who's going to actually be communicating that to their boss, whether it's a representative or a senator. So it's always really crucial to maintain relationships with the legislative aides and, the whole staff. They have district secretaries too locally.
I'm glad you said that about relationships too, because again, I can understand a fear of, they're not going to remember me, or why would they listen to me? But it is planting a seed, and it's sowing that seed, and it's, taking care of it. It is fostering a relationship. So I've been going up for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now. And it's now I'll start to, recognize faces after the first couple times. And when I'll go back in, I'll say, hey, I was here for, senior day or the Alzheimer's rally to tally or for music therapy, blah, blah, blah. And people do remember.
Right.
Because we're working on building that relationship. And it can start as simple as social media, which I know sounds kind of silly. And we talk about Twitter, our hashtags, or pictures. Pictures are really big.
Pictures are big.
But we're going to take our last commercial break. We come back. I really want you to lay out for someone why social media works when it's used, correctly and effectively, and then how you can kind of grow from that. Again, if this is something someone's interested in, I'm going to check our Facebook page, so please head over there, facebook.com/connections by Aria. Let us know what you're passionate about. We would love to help you after the show get connected with certain bills or legislators that might be interested in what you're interested in. Stick around. We'll be right back. The Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is a professional music therapy practice serving medical, community, and educational settings throughout Southeast Florida. With our experienced team of 11 board-certified music therapists, we use music and research-based therapeutic interventions to help individuals of all ages and abilities reach their goals and increase their quality of life. For more information on our services and programs, please visit our website at pbmti.com. Engage with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call us at 561-747-9944. Are you a music therapist or part of the music therapy community? If so, we're excited to announce Aria. Aria is a mobile app that provides tools, resources, and community for today's modern music therapist. You can plan, implement, and share music therapy interventions with the community, keep track of your schedule and contacts, and learn from other members in our community section. Best of all, Aria is free. Visit arianow.com to get started today. You are listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. If you'd like to join the conversation, the toll-free number is 888-565-1470. Now back to the show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You are listening to and watching Connections. I'm your host, Bree Gordon. With me tonight is fabulous, amazing, what did I say earlier? I don't know, just...
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show. Thank you. Friend of the show.
You need to make me a plaque that says friend of the show.
It grows every time you come. You get a new title. Anyways, Jen, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Again, you should not have told me you live so close.
I know.
Because I call you all the time now.
But I like it.
That's good. I like having you here.
Can't you tell that I like it?
I like how the commercial breaks you go, what did I say? If I could get in trouble for
I know.
that? That's awesome.
That's what I do.
No, I think we're good, right? We haven't been shut down yet. Lights are still on.
Good.
Yeah, we're good. We're
Life's
totally
good.
good to go. No, I love having you here. I love that you bring a just a human perspective to this advocacy. I mean, honestly, because it can be so overwhelming for so many people, and I feel very similarly to you felt or have shared that it just, you got to eat the elephant one chunk at a time, right? Is that what they say? One bite at a time?
See, I don't condone eating elephants, so get the disclaimer up.
Yeah, that's true. I should pick an animal that's not affiliated
Aren't you vegetarian?
No.
Why did I think you're gluten?
Yeah,
yeah, that's different
that's
though. Okay.
Anyways, it is a big, massive thing to think about politics.
Start small.
You have to start
baby
small.
steps,
and that's okay.
Absolutely.
So what's an example of starting small that's actually effective?
Well, everything is effective. I don't want anyone to say, "Oh, I'm going to write a letter that's not effective." Mm-hmm. As someone who's very active in our walk to end Alzheimer's, we have those postcards that we have people fill out, and a lot of times people go, "That's not effective." But you know what? It is effective, and if we can collect 3,000 postcards at a walk and deliver them, trust me. Those data entry interns are very stressed because they're like, wow. And, that shows how much interest. So one card can make a difference. Yeah. One vote can make a difference. So I don't think that any of these techniques, when it comes to advocacy, is not important. Some of them have a little bit more weight to them, but they're all effective and they all make a difference. One thing that I feel is very easy and extremely effective is social media. Mm-hmm. And we've seen the power that it's had, and let's start with almost 10 10 years ago now. I can't even believe it. I mean, the Egyptian revolution started over Twitter. You know, that's how they were able to get freedom. And, you know, and people use their voice. Right now, there's a lot going on. And we talk about that young woman who started the hashtag Me Too. And look at how that's become a worldwide phenomena. You know, there's power in social media. When writing to an elected official, the beauty of social media is, you know, with an email, that could be hidden, that could go to junk mail, you know, but with social media, they can see that. Take, for instance, Twitter. Somebody sees that, they like it, they can like it, or they can retweet it. Then it's getting out to other people. So that message is getting there, and you can actually tag that legislator where they're able to see it. And I have to tell you, I get a lot of effectiveness from Twitter. You know, usually the representatives, if it is positive, which I have to tell you guys, you really want to stay positive. I understand that there are things that can be very frustrating, but what's the saying? We're going to say out old sayings. It's better to play with honey than vinegar. Or tell me, you heard that. You should see her face, but you can. Okay, it's better to. Okay. When looking at two food options, honey is better than vinegar because honey is sweet, okay?
All right.
That's not the expression, but you understand the justification.
Yeah, I got you.
So you have to be pleasant, you know?
Sweet over bitter. Is that what we're going
Exactly,
for? Yeah.
exactly.
I like it.
Honey, vinegar.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. Thank God you're pretty, you know? So... Yeah,
Okay,
it just
yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
But you want to be positive, you know, thank you for this. Or you say know the facts, you know. So, for instance, there are over 5 million Americans living with Alzheimer's. Please consider co-sponsoring, You know the bill, use it as a hashtag. You know, if for Alzheimer's, it's end all. You know, if you're talking about, women's movement, you know, it could be, you know, Me Too or Time's Up or, you know, with the environmental issues, it's go green.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went blank for a second, but you know, so they have, and that is a way where you can actually measure and see how many people have used that hashtag. So if a legislator's looking, they're like, wow, 25,000 people have used that hashtag just today. You know, those are powerful metrics, and
absolutely.
They're going to put that into consideration. So I think social media is extremely effective, and for so many, especially in our generation now, we're all about texting and social media, and we're not going to pick up a phone. That's just not in our DNA,
Right.
and especially in our younger generation, it's just really not,
It's
their
anxiety
MO.
producing.
It is. And for introverts out there, it is as well. So it's a great way to calm your fears, yet make a difference.
Yeah.
And Facebook's the same way. There's YouTube. There's this app that I use called Countable. It's great. You can actually make 30-second videos to your representative.
Oh, wow.
And they'll send it for you, so you can just put it up and they'll
How's
take
that
the video.
Email?
Yeah, I can go through email. It's just you download the app. It's called Countable. There's a website as well.
That's cool.
But with the app, you can send an email, send a video. You can make a phone call. It's really cool. Types in your information, so it has your senators, your representatives, and then your state level as well.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so
That's really
it's
cool.
really great. You know, phone calls are great, especially when a bill is about to go for a vote. You know, and don't just sit back. If you have a friend who is passionate about that issue too, give them a call, send them a text, say, hey, call this number.
Yeah.
You know, make it easy for them, especially if you're very passionate about it. And you got that number in bold, shoot it off to them.
Yeah.
Because you know what? They're going to make that call. You know, when bills come up, I send it to everybody in the office. I'm like, you call them. Or if they don't, I'll be like, okay, I'm coming in your office. Make that call, you know? And that's how things happen, especially on that federal level with our senators. You know, a lot of the recent healthcare votes, that's what happened, is because they got so many phone calls, so many emails. So that persistence is there.
I want that to be like the biggest takeaway, like that actually has a direct impact.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean,
It does-
even I remember, you know, one thing we had going through last year, and it was just, I had sent off, again, to my staff, hey, just copy and paste this paragraph, put in, you know, a personal vignette and send it off. And I remember, you know, the committee meeting the next day, they were like, whoa, there even are that many music therapists in the state? Like, we got all of these emails overnight. I had no idea this was even a thing.
Yeah.
And it made a difference because they have to sit and look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And it's so important, and it does make a difference. And, it's a great way to get the word out there and get the word out there quickly.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend that. And, I also, we're talking a lot about federal and state government, but there are issues that are happening locally all the time, and this could be something as maybe they're building a park, or there's a train that's, going through now that you don't like as much because it's going very fast and it brings up your childhood fears of trains. But any issue that you have.
But look how we need to go on like a lunch date.
We do.
Train.
What were you going to say?
Because we can go on the train and we can go to different cities, and then you won't be afraid of it anymore.
I'm not afraid of the train when I'm on the train. I'm afraid of the train when I'm by the train.
Gotcha. It does go right by your house.
It goes right by my place.
Gotcha. Okay, well, we can talk to your legislators about that.
Exactly. No, but seriously though, if they're building something, go to your city government, go to your city council meetings. Wow, they love to see you there. Like, for people to actually take in the time, you want better schools, go to the school board,
Yes.
And I've worked on a lot of school board campaigns, and one of the things is people are like, I don't care, I'm just a taxpayer, I don't have kids who are in school. It's like, no, you are paying for the future. You want to have a say in that.
Yep.
I don't care if you have 1 kid, no kids, 100 kids. Hopefully you don't have 100 kids, because that's a lot of work. But you want to make a difference, and you have to get your voice out there. And it's anything. And maybe it's your residents in your complex. It doesn't have to be political. They always have that air of political. Did you just hear the train?
I did hear the train.
Okay, I feel like Johnny Cash right now. But it's speak up. Or maybe in your group of friends, just speak up.
Yep. I love it. In our final 2 minutes here, this is one of my biggest points that I try to hammer home when I'm out with people and visiting at the Capitol, things like that. Less is more. Not when it comes to numbers, but when it comes to your delivery and your message, less is more. You may
Succinct.
You may get an elevator ride, literally, with this person.
Oh, yeah.
Know your message, know your audience, know exactly who you're talking to, know what, church, synagogue, community center they belong to, know what, diagnosis in their family, or that they're of a child with Down syndrome or a parent with Alzheimer's, whatever it is, whatever their passion is, whatever their heart is into, know who you're talking to, know exactly what you want to say to them, because you may only get 30 seconds with this person.
Yeah. But I would say, it's hard a lot of times to find out that much extensively about a person.
You don't stalk these people?
No, I don't.
It's all there. You type in the thing and they get all the
information. You find out some stuff. You don't find out their grandmother in 79 had pink eye.
Oh, weird.
Are we done?
Yeah, just about. Parting wisdom.
Tell your story. Don't be afraid to cry. No, I'm serious though. But don't be afraid. Know that you're making a difference, and let them share as well, because that's very powerful.
It's part of building that relationship we talked about.
It is.
Love it. Perfect advice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Congratulations on last week. Good luck to me this week.
Good luck to you this week.
I hope it's a great week. I'll tell you all about it next Monday. Have a wonderful week. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for listening to Connections. We hope you enjoyed today's program and discover new ways to bring creativity into your home or place of work. If you have any questions for our host Bree or today's guest, please email them at bree@pbmti.com or call at 561-747-9944. Thank you for sharing the music with us.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or